Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 8. We'll be presenting a research project for EDLE 1207 Introduction to ELP Methodology, which prepared for Dr. MOHAIDA binti MOHIN. The title of our research is Learning English Among Islamic Education ISET Teacher Trainees in International Islamic University Malaysia IIUM. Before I start, I would like to introduce the group members. Okay, first one is Nur ADELINA binti ZAMZURI. Second one is Siti Asiah binti Ahmad Rimba, which is myself. And lastly, Siti SHAKINA binti ANSARI. Okay, let's moving on to introduction of the research. Okay. This research focusing on learning English among ISET teacher trainees in IIUM. Learning English is very essential nowadays as it has been recognized as a second language in Malaysia. Therefore, English language has become a required subject in every level of education, including the higher level. Nevertheless, not everyone enjoying learning English. This is because of many problems. And for this research, the problem statement is to investigate how far teacher trainees of ISET can deal with learning English. And the target respondents, as I said before, it is for Islamic education ISET teacher trainees of current semester, which apparently are doing their practicum. Okay, from the problem statement, we have constructed two research objectives. The first one is to identify the main difficulties that ISET teacher trainees face in learning English at IIUM. And the second one is to suggest effective ways in learning English for ISET teacher trainees. From these objectives, we have created two questions to make sure our research according to the target. The first one is, what are the main difficulties that ISET teacher trainees face in learning English at IIUM? And the second one is, what are effective ways in learning English better for ISET teacher trainees? Moving on to methodology.
Next, when we talk about methodology, our research project is quantitative in research, in which it consisted of 29 items and it was divided into three sections, which are the first section comprises of the background information of the respondent. The second section is to identify the main difficulties that they face in learning English at IIUM. And the third section is to suggest the effective ways for them in learning English. So our questionnaire was designed using the 4 Likert skills, which are strongly agree, strongly disagree, and disagree. Okay, moving on to the literature review. In which the first one is regarding the social difficulties that the students may face that leads them to feel to encounter difficulties in learning English. So the first point is the difficulties caused by the interference of mother tongue. So this is one of the most apparent factors that leads to difficulties in learning English. So this is due to the fact that most of the students prefer to communicate in their mother tongue at home and with their surroundings. So I have cited from Delvio, Abhilasha, and Ilan Kumaran in 2018, in which they stated that those students face difficulties to communicate in the target language as a consequence of a lack of practice in the second language. And next point is the difficulties caused by teaching and learning process. Some students face difficulties in learning English as they were not given enough guidance by their instructor. Some students also have some trouble in their pronunciation and fluency as they are not being emphasized on by their teachers on how they can improve their spoken English. I'll pass this to the next presenter.
Next,
Okay.
other than social difficulties, we also have psychological difficulties, and there are three main psychological difficulties that we have identified. The first one is low confidence. Low confidence could be attributed to a range of factors. Some students would feel so embarrassed and self-conscious that they avoid classroom dialogue practice and participation, and they often been left out in the class. As cited by Win Listianingrum Arifin in her research 2017, she stated that a teacher may be experienced to find his or her student less of willingness and isolates among their friends. This symptom is generally influenced by the lack of confidence in the individual of the students. Next, the second one is language anxiety. For the non-speakers, it is normal. They would feel insecure with their abilities when it comes to learning or using their English. Horwitz, 2001, as cited by Paki, 2013, mentioned that it is intuitive to many people that anxiety affect language learning, and that is logical because it has been found to interfere with many types of learning. Language anxiety could also contribute to other problems for the learners when they try to apply or learn the English language. And the third one is lack of motivation. Students lack the motivation to learn English in a blended learning condition and felt it was difficult for them to learn inside and outside of the classroom. It is actually the correlation between the low confidence and language anxiety leads to the lack of motivation. Motivation is very essential, as we all know, for the students to make their mind stronger and keep them on track of learning. Next.
Okay, so let's move on to the number 3 literature review, which is the effective ways in learning English. So I take this from Wakil Nasharuddin, 2015. He stated that the effective ways to learn English are that they center around form and vocabulary and ignore to some extent the quality of training of the nature of preparing or delivering the language. And the next one is I took it from Wanita, 2013. Okay, teaching English at primary school level has two distinct conditions, which are interactive and not interactive. So basically, interactive is when educators utilizing games to brighten up the understudies learning condition, while interactively, the using speech strategy. So the next one is So next one is, I took it from McKay 2002, which is the content of teaching materials, methodology choices, and ideal teacher does not necessarily need to be based on the native speaker model. And choosing and adjusting the content and the methodology refers to the appropriateness of the local context, and it is the right of each country where it is taught. So, and the next one is learning English that does not mean to practice the culture of English, but the aim is to train the learners to comprehend pragmatic differences useful for international communication. So this one is stated in Crumch, cited in 1993. And the next one is, as the English material which Islamic content is still extremely restricted, it is still significant for educators to be inventive. Which is they improvise their guidance depending on the accessible assets. For example, there have been numerous Islamic English songs that can be accessed as a video or MP3 to be used as a teaching material. And considering that the singers are talented young Muslim too, such as Haris J, Mahir Zain, Reef, and etc. So let's move on to the findings and the discussions that we got throughout the research. So for the RQ1, these are the results and the pie charts. So I will be explaining a bit more in the report. So as we can see here, for the RQ1, this is the summary from the result. Okay. The most difficulties that ICT teacher trainee face is the lack of confidence in speaking English, because they often feel that their grammar and pronunciations are wrong. As you can see here, the percentage for agree and strongly agree is higher than the strongly disagree and disagree. So the next one is, Okay, this is the summary for RQ number 2, which is what are the effective ways in learning English for ASEC teacher trainees. So throughout the research, we can conclude that these 4 are the effective ways in learning English for ASEC teacher trainees. Okay, number 1 is that they learn and understand English better if their instructor has a friendly manner. Number 2, they will learn English better when their instructor corrects their speaking mistakes. Number 3, they will learn and enjoy English learning better if their instructor uses educational technological aids in the class. And lastly, they agreed that by using an English subtitles when watching movies helps them to learn and understand English more. So I will pass these findings to Siti Asiah.
Thank you, Sister Shakina. Okay, from the research, we managed to get 7 respondents to answer our questionnaire. And we discovered that the most common difficulties that are faced by ASEC teacher trainees are due to the lack of confidence in speaking English because they feel that their grammar pronunciation are wrong. And the most common effective ways that we have gained from the survey are that they learn English better if their instructors are friendly, correct their speaking mistake, and use educational technology aids. They also learn English better when they read English subtitles when they watch movies. Okay, next. Based on the research, we found out that the majority of teacher trainees have the difficulties in speaking English because they often feel that their grammar and pronunciation are wrong. They also have difficulties in finding opportunities to practice their speaking English as their mother tongue is Malay. To add, since they are from Islamic education program, they are not mainly emphasized on English grammar and pronunciation. And ASEC teacher trainees do also encounter difficulties due to the lack of vocabulary as their language is limited because they only use it in the classroom, not outside from the classroom. Okay, moving on to conclusion and recommendation.
Okay. So for the conclusion of this research, we could conclude that this research focuses on difficulties that ASEC teacher trainees face in learning English and the effective ways in learning English. We could conclude that ASEC students are interested in learning English, and it shows when most of the respondents agree that learning English is as important as other subjects. And also, we could conclude that the most common difficulty that is encountered by the teacher trainees in learning English is due to the lack of confidence as they feel like their grammar and pronunciation are wrong. And next, this could also be related to their background as Islamic education students, as they are not being emphasized on the importance of using correct grammar and right pronunciation on their English language. And the last one is that most of them have agreed that they learn English better if their instructors have friendly manners, correct their speaking mistakes, and use educational technological aids in class. And they also believe that turning on the English subtitles when they are watching English movies help them to learn English better. As for the recommendations, we believe that teachers should diversify their teaching aids in order for the students to enjoy and be more engaged in the lesson. Teachers should also provide more activities for the students so they are able to enrich their vocabulary. And as for the students, it is important to know that making errors when speaking English is fine, as that will help them to improve in certain areas. And in order for the students to have less insecurity in talking in English, teachers should have a proper way to correct their errors without making the students feel downgraded. And most importantly, teachers should speak in English when teaching and explaining in class to show a good example for the students to follow. And last but not least, students should practice more often as practice makes perfect. So this is our reference for our research project. So that is all from us. Thank you.